Hey there. Seeing as how we are less than a week away from the official start of this shortened season, I thought it would be a good idea to take a look at what this season has to offer for us in its shortened format. The first thing that needs to be addressed is how all these teams are going to attempt to combat the coronavirus while starting and hopefully finishing this short season. Like what most workplaces have been exposed to recently, Major League Baseball will be checking everyone's temperature upon their arrival to the ballpark. Along with that, the players are being tasked with checking their own temperatures at home before they leave for the park. Anyone who registers higher than 100.4 degrees will be sent home, and if they are already home, they will be asked to stay home. This is paired with some new rules in place like no spitting and allowing pitchers to carry a wet rag in their back pockets for moisture as opposed to licking their fingers before gripping the ball. I foresee some complications with players attempting to not spit during the course of the game, seeing as how this is something that has become synonymous with the game. You could say it is ingrained in their DNA. Next, they had to figure out how this 60-game season would work out. Who would they play and how many times type of thing. Well, they were able to figure out a structure that works for them. 40 out of the 60 games will be played against your own division, and the remaining 20 will be played against your opposing league's same division. So the AL Central will play 20 games against the NL Central, West against West, and so on and so forth. Another little additive here pertains to specialty games, like the Chicago White Sox, who were supposed to be playing a game in Iowa in the Field of Dreams Stadium against New York Yankees. Well, that game will still be happening, but because teams are only playing their own divisions and their opposite league's division, instead of the Yankees, the Sox will be playing the St. Louis Cardinals. I suppose they figured the nostalgia of playing that game this year was still important. After that, the next question is where will all these games be played? In hub cities like the NHL is doing or in one location like the NBA? Well, all but one team will be playing in their home stadium. The one team that was announced very recently that cannot is the Toronto Blue Jays. The reasoning for this is because the federal government made the decision to not allow teams to travel to and from Canada for series matchups. That includes the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are currently looking for a different alternative, which could be a training facility in Florida or their AAA affiliate in Buffalo, New York. The issue, of course, is that Florida has an extremely high risk of coronavirus cases, and the stadium in Buffalo has a poor quality of lights, which could pose a whole other issue. Another different wrinkle that this season will play host to is the lack of fans in the stands. No one will be allowed in the stadiums during the course of this season. There was some talk early on about a handful of teams allowing fans to enter the ballpark for games at a max 20% capacity, but it does not seem as though that will be happening. Now, on to some different changes that will take place during the season, outside of the reduced season, of course. The National League will finally be forced to have a designated hitter in their lineup. Although this rule change is only for the season, it could be the predecessor of what's to come. Another change, which I have covered in a previous video, is that any relief pitcher who comes into the game is forced to face a minimum of 3 batters. Unless that pitcher is tasked with recording 1 or 2 outs to end the inning, then they're not required to re-enter the next inning to face another batter. Another rule addition that is here to stay is during any extra inning game, each team will have a player starting off at second base. This is in the hopes of ending these games a bit sooner than normal. The base runner would be an individual who is one spot higher in the batting order than the current batter at the plate, unless you have a pinch runner, that is. Now, this next part is a new wrinkle that we only have because of the coronavirus. Opening day rosters will begin at 30 as opposed to the normal 25 and the newly reformed 26-man rosters that was supposed to start this season. Then, after 14 days, the roster will be reduced to 28, then reduced again to the new normal of 26 after 28 days. Another aspect to this updated roster is being referred to as the taxi squad, which is comprised of 3 players, one of them having to be a catcher, that will travel with the team on the road to serve as emergency replacements for any player who is injured or test positive for the coronavirus. Lastly, I wanted to share with you a list of MLB players who have decided to opt out of this 2020 season. Those players are Mike Leake, Ryan Zimmerman, Joe Ross, Ian Desmond, David Price, Tyson Ross, Felix Hernandez, Nick Markakis, Buster Posey, Michael Kopech, and Jordan Hicks. All but Michael Kopech are opting out of this season due to concerns over their health and the health of their loved ones during this season. Who's to say that number won't increase as the season kicks off and more positive tests come through the pipeline? The Chicago White Sox decided that they wanted Kopech to sit out this year as he continues to recover from his Tommy John surgery back in 2019. Well, that'll about do it. These are all the different aspects that this shortened season will have in store for us, as well as a few others I'm sure as the season progresses. On a personal note, I believe this year will be different for more than a few reasons. One of those reasons could be that at the start of this season, pitchers' arms might not be as well stretched out as we're accustomed to seeing them, which could mean starting pitching only going a handful of innings during the first few outings. It could also mean multiple starters going during one game. As well as your top relief pitchers being pushed into action much more than normal, a shortened season means every game counts. Just a few things to think about as we anxiously await the start of this weird season. Until next time, I'm Kevin Housel.